What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. I want to start by saying a massive thank you to everyone who gave me positive feedback on my last video. Like I said in that video, I didn't really plan on doing a second video or any more after that. In fact, I planned on just doing the challenge with Goofball, and that was going to be it, unless, of course, people gave me positive feedback and I felt like doing it again, which that is the case. Today I'm back again. As you can see, I'm actually re-recording this video because I recorded it yesterday, but I watched the footage again and I just wasn't really feeling it. I don't know if I was tired or I wasn't really in the mood or what, but so I'm re-recording this now. It's going to be more streamlined. The video I recorded yesterday was around 15 minutes. I think today's will probably be around 6, so it'll be a lot easier for you guys to watch. I think you should appreciate that. So if you do enjoy, once again, leave positive feedback in the comments, leave me a like, whatever you want to do. It doesn't really matter, but as long as people are feeling this video and I'm feeling this video, I'll be back again with another one. So once again, thank you very much. Enjoy. So in today's video, I want to talk about something that's going to make your lives in Destiny 2 significantly easier. Now that thing specifically has to do with Heroic Strikes. Now everybody knows that since the Warmind DLC came out, Heroic Strikes have sort of been a pain to complete. In fact, they've almost been harder sometimes than the Nightfall, which seems a little ridiculous to me. Now I appreciate they are Heroic Strikes, which means they should naturally be more difficult. They should probably be one of the most difficult activities in the game other than doing the raid, especially for PvE anyhow. But they should not be more difficult than the Nightfall, and some of them are. It depends on what your weekly and daily modifiers are and which actual strike you get. Now, you can get some pretty lethal combinations of that, and I'm going to try to make that a little bit easier for you guys so that you can get your weekly milestones done, as well as grind out your levels to try and get prototype engrams and glimmer and all that other stuff. So my first big tip, obviously, well, it's obvious to me anyway, is to focus on the burn. Now every week Bungie gives us a massive gift, and that is the burn for the week. It's going to be either Solar, Void, or Arc, and you gotta pay attention to that because they give you that for a specific reason. And they're not just trying to say, we want to change up how people play. Now they are doing that. They want to see how you play. If you are a player who always mains Night Stalker, that can get pretty stagnant and you'll probably get bored of the game after a couple of months of playing, so they want to try to spice it up a little bit, maybe switch you over to a Gunslinger or an Arc Strider. Arc Strider is one of the least popular, but if it's Arc Burn, you might consider switching to it. So my first big tip is always follow the burn if you can. If you have spare modifications you can add to your weapons to make them match the burn, that's obviously ideal. And of course, go with the heavy weapon that's relevant as well. Something like Hard Light would be really cool to use as an exotic because, well, it can switch between, and there's some other weapons on PS4. You have the Borealis that can switch, but also you need to pay attention to your heavy weapons because sometimes you can't switch them. Now you might be a little bit uncomfortable changing your super. It's going to change the way you play the game, especially for someone who relies on invisibility to survive and maybe get some clutch reses, and you're switching to the golden gun and suddenly you don't have that anymore. It might be a little uncomfortable, but I definitely recommend you follow the burn. It'll help you out a ton. Now on that same note of going invisible, my second biggest tip is survivability. Make a build that's centered around survivability if you can, because the downfall of most Heroic Strikes, now the reason people are leaving strikes so many times before they've killed the boss, is because your team wipes. Probably going to be during the boss fight, or maybe if your team wipes in the first encounter, you're just not feeling it. You're not confident in that team. So when all 3 players die, you have to restart whichever encounter you're on, and that's very frustrating. Of course, it's not nearly as bad as in Destiny 1 when you were doing the Nightfall. You got down to the very end, and all of a sudden your team wipes and you're back in orbit. That had to be one of the most infuriating things I've ever experienced in a game before. So I'm glad they took that out. But you may have already sunk 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes into this boss fight depending on your team's capability. And to have to restart the whole thing is very frustrating, especially when you have your super taken away, your heavy ammo taken away. That's a kind of a buzzkill. So survivability is key. Now if you can put down healing rifts, full-size Titan barricades, have a hunter that can go invisible, things like that are key in survivability. If you can have one person who has one of those things active, that's a huge bonus, and maybe even a Titan bubble will be great for a last-minute clutch, but invisibility with the hunter is probably your best bet at that point, especially because you can link it to your dodge. Now, of course, that's only if you're running Night Stalker, but that's probably the best and most relevant Hunter subclass right now anyhow, so depending on what the burn is, you may or may not have invisibility. If you can though, I definitely recommend using that as your main clutch survival ability. And the third tip I have for you guys is, of course, paying attention to what the strike is and knowing what gear will be best. Whether it's focusing on doing ad clearing or focusing on doing boss DPS. That focus should be different depending on what the actual strike is, because different boss fights are centered around different mechanics, and maybe you have to be faster and kill more ads, or maybe you have to be stronger and do more boss damage. One of the two, and you need to make sure that your gear is centered around that. Which exotic are you using? Take advantage of that perk. Make sure your resilience or your recovery or whatever is as high as you can make it. Now you can change those things with mods. Gear that gives you orbs when you use it, things like that. Masterworks are key because you can generate more orbs for your teammates and for yourself, and that is a huge bonus as well. And the very final tip I have just to close this video off is look at the modifiers that are active for the daily part of the strike before you launch it, before you jump in. And when I say jump, I'm sort of hinting at people who make the biggest mistake of all time, and that's jumping when grounded is active as a modifier for the strike, meaning you take double, almost triple sometimes damage while airborne. Pay attention to those modifiers and play accordingly. These weekly heroic strikes are something that's going to make you uncomfortable in the game. You're gonna have to change the way you play. You're not gonna be able to stick with your playstyle you've been running for the last year in this game. You're gonna have to change it up a little bit, and the way that Bungie has changed heroic strikes, the Warmind DLC, really drives that home. You definitely are gonna have to change it up a little bit, and I like that. I love bringing in versatility into the game, especially since with the trailer we just saw today for the new expansion, the year 2 of Destiny 2, there's going to be a lot of new subclasses and changes and weapon changes and things like that that are going to make people use different things. So if you're already used to switching it up day to day and changing it around to make yourself more comfortable and more proficient at the game, you are going to enjoy that year 2 expansion even more. So guys, I hope that this has been helpful to you and maybe can help you guys get through your heroic strikes a little bit easier. It's just 4 simple tips. So if this helped you and you think it might maybe help somebody else, feel free to share it. Once again, like, comment, whatever you want to do. I appreciate the positive feedback, and if this does pretty well, then I'll probably do another video soon. So keep it locked. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.